Girl, I know you got a lot of problems, so why you put them all on me? Might have to stop getting all this money. I just realized I was killing trees. Put it through the counter, yeah, repeat. Ay, she won't do it to you, but she feeling me. Yeah, we be riding around.
Ooh, it's been a while. I ain't really got any excuses for it, to be honest. But I'm back, and I'm truly gonna lock in on content for you guys, man. 2 videos a day, no excuses. Now we're done with the awkward part of this video. Let's move on to the topic of it. The age-old discussion, top 5 NBA players of all time. And before you ask, bruh, no, I'm not doing 10, because honestly, after 5, I really do not care. So 5 is where I'm finna stop. Now, before we get into my list, I'll be explaining my personal criteria for the greatest players of all time. Difficulty of era. And before you comment, no, I don't hold certain eras against certain players. I reward certain players for being able to succeed against more difficult circumstances. Even though I may talk about how easy an era was, that doesn't mean I'm taking away from him. I'm just acknowledging that it was easier than others. Skill. I shouldn't even have to explain this. You have to be one of the best players to play the game. The talent you have should outweigh most players that have ever played this game of basketball. That shouldn't even have to be said. Now, last but not least is accolades. And yes, I care about these. Not that much, but I do care. I do acknowledge that for this specific ranking, these have to matter, and these play a part in a player's legacy. My criteria is pretty short and sweet and to the point. Now let's get into the list. Number 5, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now I know this is going to shock a lot of people, but the reason for this is because Kareem spent a good amount of time playing in easily the worst era of the NBA. Not only was it the worst era of the NBA, the talent pool was split between 2 leagues, which made the difficulty of the league, in my opinion, that much easier than anyone else above him. Not only was the league split, someone who could have been considered the best player in the NBA wasn't even in it. To put this in perspective, imagine if LeBron spent a handful of years in the NBA dominating, while Kobe, Kevin Durant, or Steph Curry were in totally different leagues. I can imagine y'all would hold that against him. But regardless of these facts, Kareem's dominance cannot be ignored, and his skill for the game individually is amazing. His resume on paper has an argument to be the best of all time. It's not many more decorated and accomplished players as him. So Kareem sits at 5. Number 4, Shaquille O'Neal, the Diesel. Do I even have to explain? He's a literal monster. That man is the most dominant player that I've ever seen in my entire life. Nobody on planet Earth could have stopped this man, I promise you. His success speaks for itself, and honestly, as a player, this man had every opportunity to be one of the best players that anyone has ever seen. Like, literally, he could have been the GOAT. He was a guaranteed 2 points. To illustrate how strong and unreal of a man he was, Eddie Curry, another NBA basketball player, a 6'11", 300-pound NBA basketball player, has been quoted saying getting hit by Shaq in the post felt like he was in a car accident. His placement on this list would be much higher if his prime lasted longer, honestly. He dealt with nagging injuries, and if you want me to be completely honest, him not caring so much about his health and being in shape, in my opinion, cost him his years. So I feel like 4 is appropriate. Number 3, Kobe Bean Bryant. Y'all finna be mad at this, and personally, I do not care one motherfucking bit. Kobe Bryant, his resume speaks for itself. Accolades list longer than a CVS receipt. His skill for the game is upper echelon, and his work ethic is probably the most notable part of his legacy. The biggest reason why I have him so high is because not only was he successful and an amazing player, he managed to be that player offensively while going against the best era of defense in NBA history. It's so many things said about Kobe on the internet that's just simply not true or taken completely out of context. Now, personally, I have never heard Kobe being outside of the top 5 like y'all have until I started taking my NBA takes to the internet. But regardless, I believe the man has a strong case to be exactly where I put him, which is the 3rd best basketball player of all time. Number 2, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Now, I don't actually care who's 2 or 1 between the last 2 players because we all know who the last 2 players are. But the reason why I have MJ2 is obviously because he's Jordan. Like, what more do I have to say? The man not only dominated the game, he changed the game. He took the game global and truly changed the NBA forever. His ability and skill is unreal even to this day. He was ahead of his time and truly one of the best players that this game has ever had to offer. But my reasoning for not having him as the greatest comes down to preference more than anything. Because the man has a strong case to be the GOAT, point blank, period. I don't think anybody can say that he doesn't. Even if you believe he's not the GOAT, it would be wrong to act like he couldn't be the GOAT. Number 1, the king, LeBron Ramon James. I believe 100% that LeBron is the greatest basketball player ever. His individual dominance, along with his skill and ability to control every part of the game, is literally unbelievable. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody like him ever, and I don't think we will. From his physical skills to his mental skills, LeBron has it all. There's literally quotes on the internet of LeBron knowing the other team's plays. LeBron displays every skill that he's ever had at every turn during his career. But I have a pretty unique reason as to why I think he's the best player in the world. And that reason is the fact that he's such an adaptable player to the direction that the NBA constantly goes. The NBA is constantly growing as a sport. Basketball is constantly growing as a sport. And I believe LeBron has been able to adapt his game to every twist and turn that basketball and the NBA has given him. And I truly believe it goes unnoticed. That man is one of a kind, and that's why I believe he's the greatest player to ever play in the NBA. And that's it. That is my top 5 NBA basketball players of all time. If you like this video and you want to see more videos and you want to know when I post, subscribe, click the notification button, and please leave me a comment. I will be taking all suggestions from the comment section for any videos that you want me to make, that you would like me to make in the future. This is Funny Fat Boy. I appreciate y'all, and I'm out.
Girl, I know you got a lot of problems, so why you put them all on me? Might have to stop getting all this money. I just realized I was killing trees. Put it through the counter, yeah, repeat. Ay, she won't do it to you, but she feeling me. Yeah, we be riding around